Hi everyone, welcome to the channel Mandarin Today. This is the first of a series of videos on how to learn Mandarin Chinese, and it's a bit different from the traditional teaching method. I would do it through what I call the 1000 Hanzi project. Here, Hanzi just means Chinese characters, so with that, let's get started. First, I will answer the key question. Why the 1000 Hanzi project? Why starting with Hanzi at all? The 1000 Hands project is based on the usage frequency of each Chinese character in real-life conversation. According to the Table of General Standard Chinese Characters, there are 90,000 Chinese characters in total, but only 3,500 of them are commonly used, and that account for 99.7%. If we go a step further, the most commonly used characters are only 1,000, accounting for 90%. So 1,000 seems like a manageable task if you can really work your way through each character, pronunciation, basic meaning, common usage, you will have laid a pretty good foundation for yourself. Let's take a look at this screenshot. It's the first 140 characters with a total usage frequency of 50%. It almost feels like the language is just within our control. But I do want to mention one important fact here, that is, the Chinese characters are not identical to English words, though most people, when learning the language, tend to do that. They are more like prefix, suffix, word root, or words, and that makes learning Mandarin hard as you go along the way. Just be prepared for that, okay? And there is another reason for the project. It's what I call the Hanzi and Pinyin dichotomy, which means there is a huge difference between Hanzi and Pinyin. And people, when starting to learn Mandarin, find that Pinyin to be really helpful and somewhat familiar. That could be a trap, because relying too much on Pinyin is not a good idea for learning Mandarin. However, if your goal is to just be able to speak the language, to have a daily conversation with Chinese people or people who speak Mandarin, then you don't need to learn the Chinese characters and you don't need to do this project. You can just find some introductory courses on pinyin, on tones, and try to talk to people. And in the meantime, watch some Chinese programs. I have a friend in college who is an overseas Chinese, and he speaks perfect Mandarin Chinese, and he also speaks a local dialect. So I was in total shock when one day he told me that he could not read Chinese characters at all. So you see, pinyin and characters are really two different things. I had the opportunity also to teach elementary Chinese to college students overseas, and in that process, I learned two things. First, traditional teaching, that is, teaching through different topics, seems natural and logical, but in reality, it's lumping things together without distinguishing the easy ones from the difficult ones. So most people will get stuck in the introductory phase and never progress to the next step. And the first character we are going to learn today is the character de, pronounced as the neutral tone. Generally speaking, it has three grammatical functions: attributive marker, possessive marker, and emphasis. But if we want to make things easy for us, we can just remember two grammatical functions. It's actually just two grammatical functions. The first two can be integrated into one. That is, it acts as a attributive marker connecting the attributive with the noun. But here, the attributive can be verbs, nouns, adjective, and phrases. I understand for native speakers, if you see this, you might feel puzzled, but don't because Chinese language is different from English grammatically, and we are trying to explain the language in terms of the English grammar, so there are some differences because Chinese language does not have inflections. So if you see a word like there, you don't add something or detract something from it. It's just the word itself. So that's why a verb or a noun can both be the attributive. So, and the possessive marker, it's similar to the ones you have in English. So, and then the next one, it is used as a particle for either emphasizing or to soften the tone. It's usually appeared at the end of the sentence. So let's look at the verb being the attributive. I will first read these examples to you and then I'll explain them to you. The first one, 吃的 means something to eat. 吃的, first tone. Next one, 用的 means something to use or to be used, fourth tone. The third one, 玩的 means something to play with, 玩的, second tone. So let's find a way to understand this. First, the structure of this is you have a verb followed by a the, but here the noun is often omitted, and this is mostly used in a ask and answer conversation where the noun has already been mentioned or referred to. And think of a situation like a toddler learning language, and he or she would go around and pointing at things. For example, if he or she is pointing at some food on a table, and the parents, without being too specific, he would just say, 这是吃的, this is something to eat. Or if the baby is pointing at the TV, and the parents might say, 这是看的, this is something to watch. And in the same way, he can say this, 这是用的, this is something to use. Or if the baby is pointing at a toy, and the parents might say, 这是玩的, this is something to play with, 玩的. So that's easy. Let's move on. Next, we have another grammatical structure where the noun acts as the attributive and followed by the and followed by another noun. Here I have shown you several examples. I'll first read through all of them and explain them one by one. First, 人的性格, the person's personality. Next one, 手的大小, the size of a hand. Next one, 朋友的生日, birthday of a friend. Next one, 中国的文化, the culture of China. Next one, 我的 mine. Next one, 你的 yours. Okay, so this one is the standard one, the one you will see most commonly used, and it's there's not really much to talk about. The structure is here, it's just you need to understand the words. But I do want to mention one thing, that is, sometimes, in most cases, when the phrase is commonly used in daily conversation, the particle the is omitted. So for example, the third one, 朋友的生日, meaning the birthday of a friend. So in daily conversation, we don't say this, we just say 朋友生日, right? 朋友生日. Or next one, 中国的文化, Chinese character. In real life, we'll just say 中国文化. 中国文化, Chinese culture. So, and next one, for example, we have 我的家, my home, 我的家. So in real life, we'll just say 我家. We don't say 我的家, 我家. And then, for For example, 你的朋友, your friends. We'll just say 你朋友. So these situations where the is omitted is mostly used in daily conversation. But if we are to keep the that's mostly because it's in formal writing, or if we do want to emphasize something. For example, 我的家 compared to 我家. You want to emphasize this is my home, right? So I think English has the same kind of function. So let's move on to the next part. So when an adjective acted as the attributive, it's basically the same situation with the one with the noun. I'll read through these examples and then explain them to you. First, 大的房子 means big house. 大的房子. Next one, 好的老师 good teacher. Good teacher. Next one, 新的手机 new cell phone. New cell phone. Next one, 白的苹果 白的苹果 white apple. White apple. So here, it's kind of the same thing. I want to talk about the omission of the. These phrases are commonly used in real life, in daily conversation. So if you are talking to someone, you wouldn't say 大的房子 unless you want to emphasize that it's really a big house, or you would just say 大房子, right? 大房子. Or you wouldn't normally say 好的老师, you would just say 好老师, a good teacher, 好老师. And you would say 新手机, a new cell phone, not 新的手机. And then 白苹果, a white apple. Unless you really want to emphasize that it's a white one. So, and then some other situations where the will be kept is you want to make a comparison, you want to emphasize, or that appears in formal writing like literature. So that's basically it. Next one. I have tried my best to show you in real life. For example, if you're traveling to China, you want to say, oh, okay, I've learned this word. I want to see if it appears in the train station, supermarket, right? But actually, the does not appear often in daily life. And the ones that I found, I'll explain to you their usage. First one, let's look at this one. The slogan of the Sam's Club in China. Sam's Club has been very popular in China recently, and there's the Chinese slogan, 更好的生活尽在山姆. So 更好的 means better the life. Better the life. So here, as we mentioned, why it appears here, obviously it wants to appear formal, right? To formal, or also maybe to emphasize better life. Next one, we have Happy New Year, 新的一年. In actual daily conversation, we usually just say 新年, New Year, 新年. But here, it says 新的一年, right? To emphasize it's a brand new year, it's a different one, it's a new year. Next one, you have a sign on the subway which says thank you for your cooperation. Obviously, it's a very formal writing, so they use the here. And this one, 您, is just a polite way of saying 你, you. So we'll learn about it maybe in the future, but not now, okay? So let's move on to the final grammatical function of the, and it's my personal favorite. It's very interesting, and it is used in this way to express if you want to emphasize something or you want to soften your tone. The first one is 好的. In English just means okay, all right, got it, fine. And then next one, 是的 means yes, that's right, exactly, you agree with someone. Next one, 真的, really, for real, indeed. And then For these three examples, the can all be omitted without changing the original meaning. For example, if someone asks you something like, can I borrow your stuff? You can just say 好. But if you say 好的, maybe you soften your tone a little bit, right? 好的, okay, without appearing too, I don't know, just a little bit soft. And then 是的, right? If someone asks you, did you go to the supermarket yesterday? You can just say 是, yes. But you can also say 是的. You know, this appears more like agreeable or more, you know, in tune with other person. And then let's give you a final example. For example, if someone asks you, 你想不想去打篮球? 打 means do you want to go play basketball? Here you can just answer by saying 打, right? I want to go play 打. But you can also say 打的. You can add the at the end to soften your tone. I think in some way if you answer 打 or 打的, it speaks to your personality, right? Okay, so that's this conversation. And you can say if you have WeChat or someone you are talking to someone online, sending messages to each other, you will see 好的 and 是的 appears very often. Okay, 好的是的. Next one, I will try to summarize what we have covered in this lecture. So the first, I started with the project telling you why we should treat Chinese characters or Hanzi as the foundation to Mandarin learning. It's basically this dichotomy where pinyin cannot represent the true Chinese language, and unless you want to learn to just speak the language without being able to read and write language. So this is the two different routes you can take. And then to make things easier for you to help you get started on the way, I chose the first 1,000 characters. And starting with the very first one, the. And the is a powerful one, but alone by itself, we can't really learn much. So we just learn basically its two grammatic functions. One as the attributive particle, connecting the attributive, which can be played by a noun, an adjective, a verb, and also phrases. And also it used as a particle for emphasizing or softening the tone, which is very commonly used in conversation, online messaging. And then I talked about the cases of omission. So in daily conversation, the, when used in commonly appearing phrases, is often omitted. But if you want to appear to be formal, you want to emphasize, you want to make a comparison, the is often kept or retained. So that's basically what we have learned today. The next series will be talking about the next character, yi. So this is the number one, word number one in English. So it's a very interesting one. We'll be learning that, okay? But it's okay if you find this first series to be uninteresting, because Chinese language is all about different words combining together. And so the more you learn with their different combinations and patterns, you'll find it to be more interesting, and I will have more to talk. So, bye-bye.